Amos 1. The words of Amos, who was one of the herders of Tekoa, who saw visions concerning Israel, in the days of Uzziah king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam son of Joash king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. He said, Hashem will roar from Zion and emit his voice from Jerusalem, and the pastures of the shepherds will wither, and the best of the fertile fields will dry up. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Damascus I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them, for their threshing the Gilead with rods of iron. I will send fire into the house of Hazael, and it will consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. I will break the bolt of Damascus, and I will eliminate inhabitants from Bekath-aven, and the one who holds the scepter from Beth-eden, and the nation of Aram will be exiled to Kir, said Hashem. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Gaza I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them, for they're effecting a total exile by handing over escapees to Edom. I will send fire into the wall of Gaza, and it will consume its palaces. I will eliminate inhabitants from Ashdod, and the one who holds the scepter from Ashkelon. I will return my hand repeatedly against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines will perish, said the Lord Hashem Elohim. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Tyre I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them, for they're delivering a total exile to Edom, not remembering the covenant of brothers. I will send fire into the wall of Tyre, and it will consume its palaces. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Edom I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them, for they're pursuing his brother with the sword and suppressing his mercy. His anger has slaughtered incessantly, and he has kept his fury forever. I will send fire into Teman, and it will consume the palaces of Bozrah. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them, for they're splitting open the pregnant women of the Gilead in order to broaden their own border. I will kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it will consume its palaces amidst trumpeting on the day of battle, with a whirlwind on the day of the tempest. Their king will go into exile, he and his officers together, said Hashem. Amos 2. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Moab I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them. For they're burning the bones of the king of Edom into lime. I will send fire into Moab, and it will consume the palaces of Kirioth, and Moab will die in a tumult, amidst trumpeting and the sound of the shofar. I will eliminate any judge from its midst, and I will kill all of its officers along with them, said Hashem. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Judah I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them. For they're despising the Torah of Hashem and not observing his statutes. Their falsehoods that their fathers followed have corrupted them. I will send fire into Judah, and it will consume the palaces of Jerusalem. Thus said Hashem, for 3 transgressions of Israel I have looked away, but for 4 I will not pardon them. For they're selling a righteous man for money and a poor man for shoes. They aspire as they walk on the dust of the earth for a head of the poor, and they twist the judgment of the humble. A man and his father go to a maiden in order to desecrate my holy name. They recline on pawned garments beside every altar, and they drink the wine of victims they penalized in the temple of their God. Yet I destroyed the Amorite from before them, the Amorite whose height was like the height of cedar trees, and who were mighty as oaks. And I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from below. I brought you up from the land of Egypt, and I led you through the wilderness for 40 years to take possession of the land of the Amorite. I established some of your sons as prophets and some of your young men as Nazirites. Is this not also so, O children of Israel? The word of Hashem. But you gave the Nazirites wine to drink, and you commanded the prophets, saying, do not prophesy. Behold, I will encumber you in your place just as a wagon full of sheaves is encumbered. Escape will elude the swift one. The strong one will not muster his strength, and the mighty one will not save his soul. He who holds the bow will not stand. The swift of foot will not save himself. The rider of the horse will not save his soul. And the bold-hearted among the mighty will flee naked on that day. The word of Hashem. Amos 3. Hear this prophecy that Hashem has spoken concerning you, children of Israel, concerning the entire family that I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you alone did I know from among all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will hold you to account for all your iniquities. Do two people walk together unless they had so arranged? Does a lion roar in the forest if it has no kill? Does a young lion send forth his voice from his lair unless he has captured prey? Does a bird fall into a trap on the ground if it does not have a snare? Does the trap rise up from the ground unless it has entrapped? Is the shofar ever sounded in a city and the people not tremble? Can there be misfortune in a city if Hashem had not brought it? For the Lord Hashem Elohim will not do anything unless he has revealed his secret to his servants the prophets. A lion has roared. Who will not fear? The Lord Hashem Elohim has spoken. Who will not prophesy? Announce atop the palaces of Ashdod and atop the palaces in the land of Egypt. Say, gather together on the mountains of Samaria and observe the great turmoils within it and the oppressed people in its midst. They do not know how to do right. The word of Hashem. They store up violence and plunder in their palaces. Therefore, thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, an enemy will be encircling the land, and he will take your might down from you, and your palaces will be plundered. Just as a shepherd can rescue from the mouth of a lion but 2 legs or the cartilage of an ear, so shall be rescued from the children of Israel who dwell in Samaria, but the corner of a bed and the edge of a couch. Listen and testify in the house of Jacob the word of the Lord Hashem Elohim, the God of legions. For on the day that I visit the transgressions of Israel against them, I will avenge the altars of Bethel. The corners of the altars will be cut off, and they will fall to the ground. I will strike the winter house along with the summer house. The houses of ivory will be lost, and many houses will be destroyed. The word of Hashem. Amos 4. Hear this prophecy, you cows of Bashan who are on the mountain of Samaria, who oppress the poor, who crush the destitute, who say to their lords, bring, so we may drink. The Lord Hashem Elohim has sworn by his holiness that there are days coming upon you when you will be carried off on shields, and your posterity in fishing boats. Through breaches in the wall they flee, every woman straight ahead, and you will cast off your haughtiness. The word of Hashem. Come to Bethel and rebel. In Gilgal, rebel greatly. Bring your sacrifices every morning, your tithes for 3 days. Burn thanksgiving offerings of leavened bread, and announce and publicize voluntary offerings. For this is what you have loved to do, O children of Israel, the word of the Lord Hashem Elohim. Also, I have given you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and lack of bread in all your palaces. Yet you have not returned to me the word of Hashem. Also, I have withheld the rain from you 3 months before the harvest, and I brought down rain upon one city, but upon another city I did not bring rain. One area was rained upon, and the area that did not receive rain will wither. And 2 or 3 cities traveled to one city to drink water, but they were not sated. Yet you have not returned to me the word of Hashem. I have smitten your crops with windblast and withering. The increase of your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees, the locusts will consume. Yet you have not returned to me the word of Hashem. I have sent against you pestilence on the way to Egypt. I have killed your youths by the sword and carried away your horses. I have raised the stench of your camps even into your own nostrils. Yet you have not returned to me the word of Hashem. I have overturned among you as God overturned Sodom and Gomorrah. You were like a brand salvaged from burning, yet you did not return to me the word of Hashem. Therefore, thus will I do to you, O Israel. And because I do this to you, prepare to go toward your God, O Israel. For behold, he forms mountains and creates winds. He recounts to a person what were his deeds. He turns the dawn into darkness and tramples upon the heights of the earth. Hashem, God of legions, is his name.